Hey guys, welcome back to THFE. This is Psychoduck, and I'm here with a slightly different kind of Throwback Thursday video today. I wanted to do something a little different. It's also worth noting that I am in the middle right now of editing down my lobby footage from last weekend when we did our Throwback Weekend lobbies, and you guys will be seeing the recap for that on Saturday. Should be really cool. There's lots of cool, funny, interesting, and awesome moments. But what I wanted to do today was to show off a game type, but kind of packaged with a few maps. And this is sort of a historical perspective on some forging I've done in the past. And it's kind of interesting, but just bear with me while I explain it. So the game type is called Omar the Spaceman. And Omar the Spaceman is a very, very simple game type where you fly around with jetpacks and a gravity hammer and you smash people. And you can use the hammer to propel yourself in tandem with the jetpack. And this came out of Halo Reach. On its own, Omar the Spaceman is nothing special. It's nothing worth featuring. But what's interesting about Omar the Spaceman, and I thought this was kind of an interesting way to do it, is it kind of gives you an interesting cutaway of my forging history. So originally, I forged this map called Cargo Port back in Reach, and anyone who's known me for like 3 years now is probably familiar with this map. Cargo Port was basically the area from Exodus, the campaign mission back in Reach, where you go through the cargo port. And I made some changes to its layout to make it better suited for multiplayer. Of course, it still is a very, very dated design. But you know, at the time it was this very sort of unique map, and it got a lot of hype around it. People really enjoyed playing it, even though there were actually quite a few problems, as we started to discover later. But the one interesting thing about Cargo Port was it had, you know, it's nestled in this like urban setting, and it's very vertical. And then the map has these like giant, soaring like skyscraper facades boxing it in. And since the map had so much headspace, you know, you could fly up like a mile on the map and still, you know, be within the map's boundaries. That's where Omar came from. So you had enough vertical space to actually play this game type. And you know, if you're not interested in all this forging history stuff, just think about, you know, smashing people with hammers while flying around with jetpack. That's fun, right? So, you know, that's where Omar came from, and Cargo Port was not designed around this. It was designed around other stuff. Although I use the term design rather loosely, because at that point I was not, you know, I was not a very experienced map designer or anything like that. But so after maybe a year or so, I started to, you know, discover some of the flaws with Cargo Port, and I revisited the concept in Reach as a map called Exchange. And Exchange is where we actually have some Omar gameplay to show you. Exchange, I wanted to take the same theme, the same setting, and I wanted to take the layout and pretty radically change it. The biggest problem with Cargo Port was that the layout was had two massive choke points. It's this very vertical map where the upper area is separated from the lower area by two choke points, and that really didn't work, as you might imagine. So Exchange set to fix this, and you know, one of the choke points was just a single grav lift. So Exchange added these flanking routes. It just added more routes. It fleshed out the defender's area to make it work much better for one flag, CTF, and whatnot. It made some weapon tweaks, all kinds of stuff. I suppose it's also worth mentioning the crane on Cargo Port, which was remade for Exchange to look much better. But the crane on Cargo Port actually was largely responsible for setting the trend of everyone having cranes on their maps back in Reach. Just a little fun fact. But another interesting thing about Exchange was, you know, the map was forged much better. It was much cleaner. The object use was much better. Because I was more experienced with it, you know, and the community as a whole had matured in terms of its forging ability in Halo Reach at this point. But as I, you know, made it look better and more clean, I also still wanted to maintain that headroom from cargo ports, so you could still fly around just like in Omar the Spaceman, and still play Omar on it. So it was kind of an interesting to say that I designed the map with Omar the Spaceman in mind was kind of an interesting claim, but it's not false. So and then a map that more of you guys are probably familiar with was when Halo 4 came out. I revisited this concept again, and I set out to make a pretty drastically different layout with some similar elements and a similar theme, and the map was Skydock. And you guys can go back and watch the feature on that. The map, actually, I think Exchange is actually the best iteration of the design looking back. Moving to Halo 4, I was less familiar with the objects, and some of the game mechanics in the map just, it's okay, but it's got some problems. But you can play Omar on Skydock also in Halo 4. But yeah, so it's Omar the Spaceman's this really simple thing, but I thought it might be interesting to kind of share this journey with you guys that I made. Because as forgers, we're always improving and always learning from past mistakes and iterating on designs and whatnot. So I thought you guys would appreciate it, and I figured that those of you who were less interested would still find Omar the Spaceman as a concept interesting. The name for Omar the Spaceman came from a fellow by the name of Steve-O, who's this goofy guy that I used to play Reach with a lot. And I don't know, he christened the game type Omar the Spaceman, and it was kind of funny, so it stuck. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy that. I will have links for all three of these maps and the game modes in both Reach and Halo 4 in the video description. Stay tuned for that lobby recap on Saturday. Like I said, it's going to be really cool. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.